Rocky for Shaman's Forge Woodscraft. Okay, it's Sunday, and today we're going to go a little more in depth in a topic. And the topic we're going to talk about is navigation, but more importantly, survival navigation. This is not where I was planning on going navigating. I didn't come prepared with a map and a compass, my GPS on my phone, a pre-detailed, satellite map of where I'm going, etc. I came out here because I wanted to explore, or we were going to the lake, or canoeing, and I got swamped in the canoe, and I got up on the bank and all my gear's gone. This is one of them cases where you got nothing, where you never have nothing. Something that really influenced me as a child was I read a story about Cochise, the great Apache war chief. And one of the things that he said was that a good Indian was never totally unarmed. And I took that to heart. It meant a good Indian was never totally without resources. You took the time to plan for the little details of when I might not have anything else. Now, my uncle taught me when I was fairly young, over a course of a summer, how to navigate without a compass. And he had learned this from old Marines, and he had been a Marine in World War II at Guadalcanal, etc. And he used the butt of his K-bar. And I've talked about this in previous videos, and I've talked about this in the knife video. But this is an excerpt of my navigation course that I teach people. Okay. Now, if you've done your homework, before you went to wherever it is we're talking about, this forest, this big wilderness area, whatever, you took the time, like I told you you should, and get out a map or get out of something and look at the landmarks of that land. And I'm going into this zone, whatever this zone is, and you make the chair rails. That means the borders. I know that that way, to the north is a railroad. It will run the full length of the area that I'm going to be in. To the east, we shall say there's a major highway. To the south, there's this river that meanders along. And to the west, there's this series of agricultural fields. So that means that even though how many hundreds or thousands of acres I'm in, I'm boxed. I know what is in every direction. What's to the north? Well, that's the railroad. What's to this way? That's the highway. What's to the south? That's the river. And what's to the west? That's agricultural fields. So no matter what, all I got to do is walk in a given direction, whichever's the most convenient. And I'm getting out of here because for some reason I've got lost. I have slid down a cliff into the river, had to ditch my pack to save my life, and I've clawed my way up. And I have no idea where I'm at. And I've got to navigate out of here. How do you do that? Well, it's pretty easy when you've got a compass. But what if you don't? I've got in here, I've got turned around everything, and I'm in dense cover. It's not easy to see in anything. What can I do? Well, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to calm down. You're going to sit down, you're going to take stock. You're going to remember those walls in that area. Where was I the closest to? Where did I think I was the closest to? Well, I was actually toward the north of, so it would actually be closer to go north to end up on that railroad and walk my way out. So I've made a decision, I want to go north. Now I need to find north. Well, you can use the shadow stick and all like that, but here's a down and dirty, faster way to do it. First, I'm assuming wherever I'm at, and in my part of the world, it may be different in yours, and you'll know that the sun comes up somewhere around 6 a.m. Okay? Each one of these fingers counts for 15 minutes. So what I'm going to do is face the direction of the sun. Even if I'm in thick cover, move around, you find a little patch of sunlight. Even in the deepest jungle, you'll find a patch every so often. And I'm going to figure out where the sun is. Sun's right there. I'm going to stick my arm out, and I want this to be at the horizontal level of the land. Not the top of the tree line, even with the ground out yonder. If I can't see it because I'm in such thick cover, I have to kind of imagine that's straight out and flat even with the ground, straight out at arm's length, that bottom finger right there, okay? That's 6 o'clock. 6:15, 6:30, 6:45, 7 o'clock, 7:15, da-da-da. And I'm going to add up till I get to that sun. Let's say it's 9 o'clock. Make it easy. Da-da-da, 9 o'clock. Now I know the time. Now anything that I can pick up, I can resource, that is round, I can make a compass. Now if you've got in your pocket, let's say a quarter, you can use a quarter. Anything round, a broke off stick, a leaf, anything round, I can use as a compass. And how do you do that? Well, very simply. For this demonstration, we're going to use the top of this piece of trash I picked up. This bottle top. It's round. And I'm going to take and put a mark on it. Now I can do that with a stick, with a stone, smearing a piece of pine rosin on it, whatever. All I want is I want a mark at some point, just like that. Something that's straight up on that edge. From that center, straight up, just like that. So we'll call that straight up from that center, that little divot. Now, just like when you're little, we're going to use our imagination. If I told you that that was a clock, and that mark at the top was 12 o'clock, then that would be 11 o'clock, that would be 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, straight down, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, straight across, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. That's a clock, okay? And how do they teach you to navigate with a clock? You point the hour hand towards the sun. Well, I know it's 9 o'clock, so I take my 9 o'clock and I point the 9 o'clock in the direction of the sun. And half the distance between the hour hand and the 12 o'clock will be due south. So when I do this, I know that that way is due south and that way now is due north. So I hold it and I turn to face due north. Okay? Now, since I'm in thick cover, I see feet. I can't sight on a tree 500 yards out yonder. I gotta try to pick my way through this. So what other little trick can I use to keep me going in a relative straight line? Because the purpose of this is survival. The purpose of this is to keep me going in relatively a straight line. I'm going to meander a little bit, but as long as I'm headed north and do not walk in a circle, I'm going to get to that railroad to the north eventually. Okay? So I've established that is now in fact north. Okay? I'm in this patch of sunlight, right? That's what I said at the beginning. I got in a patch. Where's my shadow? Well, that's 9 o'clock. My shadow is right here off my left hand. Straight off my hip, straight out. If I was standing on a giant clock face, my shadow would be at 9 o'clock, right? For the next 15 or so minutes, my shadow should stay at that. If I stood here like a stick and the sun moves, my shadow's going to move, right? But right now, from where the position the sun is for the next 15 or so minutes, I want my shadow right here. And I go forward. And I go, 15, 20 minutes trying to keep going in that magical straight line that I'm having trouble figuring out. And the next good patch of sunlight I come up to, guess what I do? Okay, now my position's about like 8:30. Next 15 minutes I keep my shadow at 8:30. And I'm constantly now doing like this, but I'm going north. I'm going toward my target. By utilizing this and using me as the stick on the ground, the shadow on the ground. Wherever my shadow is, I want to keep it there for around 15 minutes. When I hit the next patch of sun, redo it again. It's it's now 9:30. Okay, turn my compass around, so pointing at about 9:30, half the distance would be, so this is now, I got to turn a little north, and my shadow is there, and off I go again. And by doing this, I can keep navigating through dense woods or whatever and keep going in a northern direction. No, it's not true north. I'm like a sidewinder snake, but I'm constantly recorrecting. Any error I make, the next patch of sun I'll fix. Now what if there's no sun? Like right now I got an overcast. It's fine. You should see the sun or a lighter spot in the sun. That will give you an idea of where it is. And I can't, well, if I know that the sun's there, it's obvious my shadow's going to be there. If the sun's there, my shadow's going to be there. It isn't precise. This isn't pinpoint navigation. This is survival navigation. So we just, anything flat. It could be a leaf. It could be whatever. It could be anything that I pick up off the ground and I tear or shape into a roughly roundish shape where I can remember that, because all I need is a clock face. Okay? If I've got a clock face, I've made a compass face. And with that, I can point, orient, and go. I don't need anything else. I don't need to stop and drive sticks in the ground and waste a half hour waiting for a shadow to move. I'm constantly updating, constantly changing, realizing this is not precision, realizing that the most important thing right now is to me watch where I'm going, not get a mechanical injury, stay calm, and keep navigating north. If I lose the sun goes down, time to find me a place to camp for the night. And in the morning, keep going north. I will get out of this. What was it that Daniel Boone said? He had never been lost. He'd been powerfully confused for a day or two, but he'd never been lost. If I box in where I'm going, when I'm driving my car there, if I'm planning on going hiking in such and such mountains, I can get a map of it months ahead, right? And I can familiarize myself. Well, I'm going to go up this trail. What's this way? What's that way? I want a mental map, so I don't need to carry the map for this. I should carry a map. I should have my compass with me, on me. But if I'm left with no other means, I go back to Survival 101 navigation. Hope this gives you some ideas, guys. Please subscribe if you have not and ring that notification bell. And I thank you very much for your support of my channel. Till next time, I'm Blackie for Shaman's Forge Woodscraft. Wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.